Man, it be hard out here in these subscriber streets. We do it because we love YouTube. We do it because we love the YouTube. That's why. But it's still hard out here in these subscriber streets. Oh my goodness. Hold on, let me see if I can get you situated. And then we're gonna go to Kevin because we weren't here yesterday. We were asleep. We did get some rest. Shout out to nap time. Ooh, I didn't take a nap yesterday. I did take a nap today. But I didn't take a nap yesterday. So when it was bedtime, I just dozed off with everybody else. Woke up 12:30. Let me go and roll back over. Let me see what's going on in these algorithm streets. Kevin's on here. I already saw him earlier. Come on, Kevin.
If you're a producer who hates AI, this plugin might change your mind. This is Reimagine in CoProducer. You can take any sample you find and flip it into infinite, one-of-a-kind variations that are unique to you. Here's how it works. Just open up your DAW and drop in the CoProducer plugin from Output. It listens to your track and finds samples that match your vibe, key, and rhythm. Just search for a sample you're looking for, like Dreamy Synth. Now let's say you like this, but you want something a bit more unexpected. Just hit Reimagine and boom, it transforms Output's premium musician-made samples into endless unique flips. Always original, always uniquely yours. And the best part is, unlike other AI sample tools, Reimagine gives you unlimited access, no credits and no limits to hold you back. Uses ethically trained AI from Output's royalty-free sample library. And it works in any DAW, so you can drag and drop sounds right into your session. Find it, flip it, always sound original. Reimagine is live now in CoProducer.
On a frigid night in December 2022, 34-year-old Layla Dor Deluz.
What kind of name is that? Layla Dor. Let me check the stats from yesterday. Hold on, give me a second, because I'm just diving right in. I ain't even checked the stats. Okay, 174,000 views since yesterday. Currently at 8.1 thousand. Well, 8,100. Thumbs up. Layla Dorotha Deluz. Goodness gracious. Shout out to Kevin. He's currently at 685,000 subscribers. Let's go.
Home in the middle of the night, in the company of a man she trusted. Layla was 2 months pregnant and wore a newly purchased engagement ring on her finger. When she got into the vehicle at 2:30 a.m.
2:30 is crazy.
Known they were not alone. Her fiancé was with a friend, one with a sordid history. It was the last time Layla was seen alive.
Oh my goodness, 2 months pregnant, newly engaged, creeping at 2:30. Ma'am, where are we going right now? 2:30 and 2 months pregnant. That morning sickness at 2 months pregnant is well, the way my morning sickness is at 2 months, ooh. we can't eat till 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
This was a senseless, brutal murder. You can't possibly preclude the possibility, since they've already had the taste of it once, that it would have happened again.
The taste of it once. Let me get my snack ready. Go, Kevin. Go.
Hi there, I'm Kevin, and welcome to Just Thought Lounge. Today's case is a lesser-known one from Rhode Island. There are some aspects of the story that are undeniably clear, but as we explore the evidence uncovered in this investigation, there will be a few unexpected turns before we reach the conclusion. Let's take a look.
Unexpected turns. What is that doing at press conference? They had already got a taste of it. How many does it take to become a serial killer? Let's just start.
On the morning of December 21st, 2022, a fisherman in Coventry, Rhode Island, arrived at a local beauty spot in search of some trout. Carbuncle Pond is a 39-acre wooded and scenic body of water located within the Nicholas Farm area, known for its fishing, hiking trails, and the nearby Moosup River. It's a popular spot for outdoor recreation.
And it's beautiful. Look at that water. Look at my water.
That morning, the fisherman would not catch any trout. Spotted out in the freezing water, beneath bits of ice floating atop the frigid pond, was the body of a woman. State police were called out to the scene.
Oh, goodness.
Pulled from the pond was a dark-haired woman in her 30s. She was fully clothed, but for her shoes and socks. She had sustained visible trauma to her head.
Sure.
Investigators speculated that she had not been in the water very long. At first glance, the long wooden dock running into the pond showed no signs of a violent crime. Upon closer inspection, however, a trail of suspected blood emerged. Faint droplets and small drag marks stained the wood, creating a pathway from the brush out to the water. It seemed likely that the woman had been carried across it to the pond. In the woodland, investigators marked any potential indication of movement, areas where the vegetation had been recently disturbed. Their conclusion was that if the woman had been murdered, as it certainly appeared, it had not happened at Carbuncle Pond. The following day, an autopsy confirmed what was already suspected, a homicide. No less than 6 head lacerations were identified. Worse still, the medical examiner found water inside her lungs and stomach.
All that and you was still alive? Oh no. What? Still alive?
Beaten, but alive when she entered the water.
Look, I'm like all that, but you was still alive? Something about that fight or flight mode that kicks in, it hit different when you're expecting. It hit a little different when you're expecting. That's why I'm trying to figure out, why are you out at 2 a.m? 2 months pregnant. Oh my God.
The exam also determined the still unidentified woman had been 8 to 10 weeks pregnant. She wore a small gold engagement ring.
What is going on?
Is underway tonight after a woman's body was found in an icy pond in Coventry this morning.
Her body was found by a fisherman at Carbuncle Pond, and her death has been deemed suspicious.
Especially at the holidays, it's hard to imagine whatever heartbreak the family of this woman is going to experience. Your heart goes out to her family and loved ones. You know, whatever the outcome of this, it's very sad.
On December 27th, 6 days after the fisherman discovered the body in the water, a missing persons report was filed with the Brockton Police Department in Massachusetts. 34-year-old Layla Duarte Luz was spotted by her landlord leaving her home in Brockton around 2:30 a.m. on the 21st. He had not seen or heard from her since.
Shout out to the landlord. 6.
Layla had moved to Massachusetts from Cape Verde roughly 6 years earlier. She had earned a college and master's degree in business law. Layla was described by friends as a sweet but shy person and a hard worker. After she was reported missing in late December, an identification was made. Layla Duarte de Luz was the woman found in the water.
Shout out to the landlord.
Family overseas were notified. They were obviously devastated. Her sister Katie, who lived in Portugal, wrote of Layla as a kind, loving person and a friend to everyone.
So let's get into it then.
It was
Oh
wide.
my God. Come on.
Known that the father of Layla's unborn child was her ex-fiancé, a man named Gary Gromkowitz.
Gromkowitz. What is that? Gromkowitz. Who is that? Is that German? What is Gromkowitz? What is damn Gromkowitz? Is that German? Gromkowitz. That IT?
Relationship history was pieced together through conversations with friends and acquaintances.
Okay, what?
Investigators learned that the two had recently parted ways, at which time Layla returned her engagement ring, and Gary returned to his previous girlfriend.
Oh, clear.
Somehow, an engagement ring made its way back onto Layla's finger when she was found, though it was not the same one Gary had used to propose to her roughly 2 months prior.
Okay.
The recent turmoil in her romantic life set off alarm bells for investigators, even more so when they learned from Layla's landlord that when he last saw her in the early morning hours of December 21st, she was getting into an SUV with Gary.
Shout out to that nosy ass landlord. He the one filed the missing persons report. Cause she ain't never late on her rent. And so when the first came around, whoa. Shout out to the landlord who knew who you was by name, face and eyes. Shout out to that nosy ass landlord.
A canvass of video surveillance cameras around Carbuncle Pond and its surrounding woodland was unsuccessful. The area is rural with
Hold on, Kevin, because this is loud. I ain't get no scissors. Let me just go ahead and open up the other ones.
few residential or commercial buildings. Unable to trace Layla's movements back from that location, investigators instead began forming their timeline from where she was last seen, leaving her home in Brockton on the 21st. Her landlord had been correct. A black Jeep Grand Cherokee with Rhode Island plates was captured pulling out of the drive at almost exactly 2:30 a.m. That vehicle's ownership was traced to a friend of Gary's, 46-year-old Michael Lambert.
Let's just figure out.
Cell phone location data from all three individuals, Layla, Gary, and Michael, were aligned to video surveillance footage gathered from that night. The first stop was a Shell gas station in Brockton. Michael Lambert, dressed in a blue hoodie, fatigue trousers, and black Puma sneakers, exited the passenger side of his Jeep and entered the store. Shortly after, he paused, turned around, and went back out to the Jeep.
For what?
In a very brief moment captured by the station's cameras, Gary is visible in the driver's seat. He appears to be wearing a patterned and red long-sleeved shirt. Layla is not visible. When Michael returned, he filled the tank with $40 in gas. Michael blew on his bare hands and rubbed them together for warmth. It was characteristically cold that night, with temperatures hovering around freezing, and then dropping below as the night wore on.
Where's she at?
Cameras continued to track the Jeep as it drove from Brockton towards Warwick, Rhode Island. On Jefferson Boulevard, the Jeep drove southbound at 3:48 a.m. 5 minutes later, it was captured still heading south on Button Woods from West Shore Road. The exact route taken by the Jeep, as captured by the cameras, had gaps. Cell phone data filled in some of the missing pieces. At 3:53 a.m., all three devices were in the approximate area of the Buttonwood section of Warwick. They remained in that location for 45 minutes. At 4:38, phone records tracked all three devices traveling through Pawtucket and into Lincoln. By the time the Jeep made another visible stop, this time at a 7-Eleven in Lincoln, only Michael was captured on camera. He emerged not from the passenger seat, as he had earlier in the night, but by the driver's side. Still photos showed him no longer wearing his blue hoodie, despite the cold. Investigators also believed they could now spot a visible hand injury that was not captured on the surveillance in Brockton. What they did not spot at the 7-Eleven was any sign of Gary. Investigators believed the camera recorded the silhouette of a person in the passenger seat. Whether that was Gary or Layla was yet unproven. That is because 15 minutes before the stop at 5:05 a.m., Gary's phone dropped off the network and could no longer be tracked. Only Michael and Layla's devices continued on in tandem. They connected in the area of the Lincoln Mall for about 10 minutes before arriving at the 7-Eleven. The separation of the devices during this period of time could prove integral for the investigation. From this point onwards, only Michael and Layla's phones traveled to West Coventry, to the area of Carbuncle Pond. They were there for about 40 minutes. It was determined that Michael left the pond around 7 a.m., still with Layla's phone. The Jeep was picked back up traveling east on Danielson Pike at 7:18, at which time Layla's device also stopped communicating with the network. Curiously, just after 8 a.m., Gary's phone reconnected, and he was back with the Jeep. In Cumberland, where Gary's girlfriend, Miranda, lived, the black Jeep pulled up outside, and a man wearing a patterned and red long-sleeved shirt, resembling Gary, exited the passenger side. The man opened the back hatch and retrieved a pink-colored bag and carried it into the house. He was inside the home for only 2 minutes before returning to the vehicle. He appeared to have changed his clothing. At 8:37, the Jeep drove away. Back at Carbuncle Pond, Layla's body had been discovered just minutes before, in the icy water, under the dock.
The number one question I get is how to...
So she pregnant, but he got a girlfriend? But y'all was broken up, or wasn't he the ex?
Up your eyes. I'm going to show you the smoky eye. The smoky eye is layered. Do not get a dark black...
Rhode Island detectives picked up both Gary and Michael for questioning. It was not the first time that these two had found themselves on the wrong side.
ICZ. Is that German?
The law. Gary's first conviction was at the age of 20 for robbery. Later, in 2015, he served time for felony assault. His criminal history paled in comparison to his friend and one-time fellow inmate, Michael Lambert.
One-time fellow inmate?
1994, at age 17, Michael and another man brutally beat and stabbed a homeless man to death on Thanksgiving Day under an I-95 on-ramp in Providence.
Young men from Providence are arrested, 19-year-old William Page and a 17-year-old juvenile. Police say both teens have long records.
From our perspective,
How he got a long record at 17 already? Never mind.
this was a senseless, brutal murder. You can't possibly preclude the possibility that they would have, since they've already had the taste of it once, that it would have happened again, had we not got them off the street as quickly as we did.
A family member told police that Michael had demonstrated disturbing and violent behavior since he was a child, including cruelty towards animals. On his first day of school, he took a steak knife with him and tore apart the school bus. When he was convicted of murder in 1995, no one in his family was surprised. The 45-year-old had been out on parole for just 9 months when Layla DeLuz was found.
Why the hell he out? Oh, because that was at 17. Why was he out anyway? Shouldn't he have been tried as an adult and been given life? Let me go get this off the charger. Give me a second. Why was he out? I don't understand. Let me take this dog up here off the charger because I know she doesn't. I don't understand why his ass was out any damn way. What's your percentage on real quick before we finish? 84. His ass should have had life, no parole, right. Only been out 9 months. How they know each other any damn way? Layla, I don't even know why she even. Oh, go ahead, go, just go, just go. Okay,
Gary was not interested in speaking with detectives, at least at first.
Oh.
Gary Kronquist, right? Correct. What you did with Gary. Do you have any questions about our investigation or what's happening right now?
Yeah, what am I being charged with right now?
You're being charged with murder and conspiracy.
Okay.
Do you recall what that was?
I would just like to speak to an attorney.
Okay, alright. So, did you not want to speak to us at this time?
No, I'm okay.
Alright, that's fine. That's your right. So we're going to end the interview right now.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you.
Unlike Gary, Michael was open to speaking with detectives until he was presented with an image of himself taken from the 7-Eleven in Lincoln in the early morning hours of December 21st.
We know you were with Mike. We've been spending time with Mike. You've been spending time with Gary. I apologize. We know you've been spending time with Gary. All right. We know for an absolute fact. All right. We know that you were with him on December 20th and the 21st. We know you went up to Massachusetts, picked up him and his girlfriend. We know all about that night. All right. Everything is because of that night. Okay. We have a lot of stuff, and we know that Gary is the person here. All right. I know your situation. All right. I don't like to have to put you in this position. All right, but we're in this position, and right now we need to know everything that Gary did that night.
I don't know what the hell you're talking about, bro.
Is he talking? What is that accent? Is that Boston? They talk like that in Rhode Island? Why does it sound like he's from Boston?
Disrespect, I don't mean.
No,
What's that accent?
that's fine.
I think they're trying to accuse me of something.
We ain't asked you. We ain't trying to accuse you of nothing. We trying to figure out what the hell Gary did. Not you. We already know that you was in on it. We got you for accessory. What he did. Talking about, y'all trying to accuse me. I'm not trying to accuse you of shit. We just need to know what happened. Well, we already got all the video footage. But go ahead.
I can't use you of anything. I'm looking for your help. So I showed you this picture earlier.
Of you?
Is that you?
Of you.
Yes.
That's you with the camouflage pants and the white t-shirt? Okay. All right. Do you know where that was taken?
No.
Do you know when it was taken?
No.
It was taken on December 21st at a gas station in Lincoln. All right?
Mm-hmm.
At 5 o'clock in the morning.
In the morning.
Mike's, Gary's
Stop
girlfriend.
saying Mike. What's wrong with him? Why does he keep saying Mike? That's the second time he done did it. Why he keep saying Mike?
Her phone is in your car at the location. We know it for an absolute. You guys turned your phones off, but you didn't turn her phone off. Okay?
I don't. I think you better. Yes, I have a lawyer, please, because you're trying to.
It took you long enough to damn say it. Took you long enough. Took you long enough. Hold on, wait. Let me see. Are you on? I'm on over here.
Something I have no.
We're not going to talk to you further. If you want an attorney, that's fine.
Right.
I don't mean no disrespect.
I told you I would treat you with respect. I take no disrespect. If you want an attorney,
that's your right.
we're done.
Gary Gromquix and Michael Lambert were both charged with first-degree murder. Phone logs between the two showed a potential plan developing in advance of the murder. Gary had been at Layla's home as early as December 19th, during which time he placed calls and texts to Michael. At 9 p.m. on the 20th, Michael's Jeep was spotted parked outside of the house and remained there for roughly 2 hours. 8 text messages were sent from Gary to his friend, and then the Jeep left. But he would return. Another call placed by Gary at 1:36 a.m. on the 21st was followed by Michael leaving his home in Pawtucket and driving back out to Brockton, arriving and collecting Gary and Layla at 2:30. Investigators and state prosecutors believed this correspondence showed the two men had been hatching a plan, one that was eventually executed. The state also believed that they had sorted out why Gary wanted Layla dead and had sought the help of his friend to make it happen. Gary had been in a relationship with his girlfriend, Miranda, for roughly 6 years. During a brief break that autumn, he began seeing Layla, and things had progressed rapidly. From dating to engagement, and then the pregnancy inside of a few months.
I don't understand. I'm confused. I have no idea. Because from my understanding, just let him.
They had ended their relationship shortly before the murder. There were conflicting accounts provided to detectives about what led to the split, but one way or another, Gary ended up back with Miranda.
See what I mean? That's what I'm trying to figure out. How you back with her, but then you sleeping with her, she pregnant, y'all engaged, but somehow Miranda is still in the picture. Sir, make it make sense. Pick one, choose one, but... why I gotta die just...
According to Gary's mother, she then reportedly gave him an ultimatum. He could be with either her or Layla, but not both, because he can't afford to have two families.
Says who?
It seems Gary made his choice. Gary professed his innocence.
Give me a second. Let me fix it. This is finna get on my nerves. I'm just gonna go ahead and put that out there. This is finna get on my nerves. All this. This. It's the keep on the screen. Every time, like my peripheral. Excuse me. That just so got on my nerves. So got on my nerves.
To anyone who would listen, he posted on Facebook with the hashtag #FreeGaryGromquix. He said Michael killed Layla because he was a sociopath. Gary claimed to be able to prove that investigators were ignoring evidence, and crucially, that he had a solid, provable alibi.
What's the... that I was in Brockton.
Gary's claims were centered around the fact that he could not be placed at Carbuncle Pond or at a still undetermined location where Layla was killed. Based on the timeline they established, Rhode Island detectives developed a theory of the crime that was adopted by prosecutors as they prepared for trial. They believed that the murder had occurred in the Buttons Woods section of Warwick during the 45 minutes in which all 3 cell phones registered in the same area. Shortly after, Michael stopped at the 7-Eleven before driving to Carbuncle Pond. Except from 5:05 a.m. until 8:14 a.m., there was no cell phone location data tracking Gary, nor was he captured on camera. Although it seemed likely that the murder had already taken place in Warwick, there was no murder scene, no way of knowing exactly what time during the night Layla was killed. Gary wrote in one post online, "There wasn't any evidence at all proving I had anything to do with this because I didn't. No DNA from me linked to this. No eyewitnesses, no cameras, no phone pings, no murder weapon, no motive." When Gary finally spoke openly with detectives, he told them that he had been dropped off by Michael before 5 a.m. Michael Lambert killed Layla, then drove to Cumberland to meet him the next morning.
I asked to speak with you because I was charged with murder, and I did not commit the murder. Michael Lambert did, and I just want to tell you what really happened.
Gary explained that he had been at Layla's home for 2 days. He had proposed to her a second time with a new ring and placed it on her finger. He would choose to be with her instead of Miranda for the sake of their baby. Layla, he said, rejected this arrangement. She said he could choose to step away as a father and she would raise the child alone. He rejected that proposal.
She asked me if I still love Miranda. I said, yes. I love you both differently. Miranda and I have a lot more history together. So she asked me if I want to be with Miranda. I said, I do. But I want our baby to have both parents in the household. So we talked for a while. We both agreed that marriage for the sake of the baby.
After days and many hours of discussion, Gary called Michael at 1:36 a.m. for a ride back to Miranda's in Cumberland, he said. He could not afford an Uber. When Michael arrived, however, he invited Layla to come out with them, and she had agreed.
What sense does that make? What sense does that make? Tell me what sense does that make? I'm just putting it out there. What sense does that make? You've been at my house for 2 days. We've been lounging around, sleeping around, and stuff like that. You didn't propose. Oh, we didn't talk about it. We're gonna figure this thing out. Miranda blowing up your phone, of course. Where you with? Who you with? Okay. So if you're gonna be over there for 2 days, then stay over there. Don't come back over here because I don't want nothing to do with y'all. Ooh, all that. Okay. And then all of a sudden, 1:30 in the morning, you telling me that I agreed to ride to Miranda House with both of y'all? Nigga, please.
According to Gary, the group then went to a park in Warwick. Gary wanted to smoke marijuana and head home. He separated from the two and began walking to Cumberland along a bike path, eventually jogging to keep warm. His phone, almost dead, was forgotten in the Jeep.
So I called him, and we were on speakerphone. He invited Layla out with us. Layla wasn't supposed to come with us. I can't bring one woman to another woman's house. We never met.
Look, don't even know the chick. I ain't never met the chick. How the hell I agreed to go to her damn house to ride with you at 1:30 in the morning? Anyway.
Right, it's the middle of the night.
It's the middle of the night. So what are you talking about? Like, what are we talking about? I don't understand. I'm confused. I'm legitimately.
Miranda said the only time she wanted to meet her is after she had a child. She would meet her for the co-parenting, but she didn't want any type of relationship with her.
Girl, I don't want to meet you even after we had the baby, honey. I damn sure don't want to meet you after we had the baby. Hell no. Definitely don't want to meet you then.
When we got into the car, I drove to Shell gas station.
There's too many ums. Now you're lying. Now you're trying to finagle the story again.
Let's go to Warwick City Park. So we were riding around. When we got to Warwick City Park, the gate was closed.
Of course, because it's 2 o'clock in the morning, going on 3.
It was already late, so I said, she gotta get home, I gotta get to Miranda. What are we gonna do? And
what do you mean? What are we gonna do? I'm confused.
He said I could give her a ride back. I want to smoke a blunt. I said I'm not going all the way back to Rockland because I never invited her. He did. So I told him, just call me when you're done. Give me a ride back. So
call me when you're done. All these code words.
He left. I was walking, smoking. I realized I didn't have my phone on me. I forgot it. So from there, I was like, all right, I'm just gonna get back to Miranda's myself.
Oh, that's cap. Because if you had a ride there, then you would have utilized that the first time. So don't try to send his name. I'll just get back myself. You got another ship? Now you got money for an Uber?
Gary explained that Michael was meant only to drop off Layla and then pick him up after on the way to Cumberland. Since his cell phone had been left in the Jeep, they were unable to reconnect for directions to his location. By the time Michael spotted Gary on the street and collected him, it was several hours later, and he had already covered most of the distance, roughly 26 miles, on foot. Gary said he was around the corner from Miranda's house when he spotted the Jeep. He got in, went to the house, changed his clothes for the day, and then went back out.
How long would you say it took you?
It was a few hours. I was jogging. I was cold. I remember it being very cold that night, and I smoked a blunt, and so I don't really remember specifically times I was high. But it was a while. I changed my clothes. Now, I seen in the paperwork that it was questioned why did I change my clothes. Well, it was the next day I changed my clothes daily. That's why I changed my outfit.
Imagine being able to build an app with your name on it, just by thinking about it. Meet Base 44, a complete AI creation.
There were elements to Gary's story that were almost too convenient. He claimed that the pink bag that he carried into the house was full of Michael's clothing, which he had agreed to wash for him. Police would not find the clothing in the house, however, because Michael later told him that they were full of bedbugs, so he handed the bag back without ever looking in it. There were also obvious questions why they left Layla's in the middle of the night to just drive around, and why Gary would jog over 25 miles to Miranda's in the freezing cold. But regardless, there was one claim that, if true, would counter all of this. Gary's alibi. He claimed to have spoken with a couple on the bike path to get directions.
Do you have any memory of what these people you encountered looked like? A male, female?
There was a male and a female.
About how old?
They were in their 20s.
Do you know where they were from, why they were out that time of night?
So, there's somebody that knows me that says they know who they are. And he said they want to testify on my behalf, but they're a little nervous about getting into a murder case. The person who told me his name is Ivan. So he's going to talk to them to see if they'll testify on my behalf.
So you got this friend named Ivan who said that he know the people that was on the bike trail who spoke to you that night. And they said that they'll testify on your behalf that they saw you. But they don't know yet because, you know, it is a murder case.
That he had seen me, I was smoking, and I had asked to go. But he didn't want to tell me who they were because we weren't really sure.
This Ivan person, is that one of the two people you encountered that night, or is this someone else?
I did not encounter him that night, no.
Okay. And so how does Ivan fit into this?
Right.
So Ivan worked with me briefly for about a week, and he lives in Buttonwoods. So he said when his friends had seen the news, they let him know we've seen that guy around that time.
Ivan's girlfriend, a woman named April, visited Gary while he was in custody. According to him, April brought news of the young couple, and that they may be willing to come forward on his behalf. Both Gary and Michael pleaded not guilty and went to trial in January 2025. In an unusual move, Judge Louis Mattis sat 2 separate juries simultaneously, one for each defendant, to determine their individual verdicts based on the same evidence. Gary's defense argued that the evidence in the state's case was circumstantial. There were too many gaps.
Evidence that, when carefully examined, is riddled with gaps, assumptions, and unanswered questions.
Much of what was presented at trial focused on the pair's actions after the fact. After the Jeep left Miranda's house that morning, investigators had continued to track its movements. A camera on Grenville Street in Pawtucket captured video that seemed to show a black sneaker being thrown from the vehicle. The side of the road appeared free of any visible items, but as the Jeep passed, a black object appeared in the grass on the passenger side of the roadway. There, police recovered a single black left size 12 Puma sneaker, like the ones worn by Michael in the Shell gas station hours earlier. There was no blood or DNA found on the shoe, however.
Blood on it, was there?
I'm not aware of any blood being found on the sneaker that we seized from the side of the road. No.
You're not aware of any of Layla Duarte DeLuz's DNA being on that sneaker either?
I'm not aware of that, no.
Both men's cell phones later traveled to St. Anne's Cemetery, located in the Knightsville section of Cranston. At the cemetery, in a wooded area along Cranston Printworks Pond, they found a rear cargo area mat to a Jeep. When detectives examined Michael's Jeep, the rear cargo mat was missing. A presumptive test for blood on the mat was positive, though a sufficient sample could not be obtained for further testing. Where the forensics were certain, however, was in other areas of Michael's vehicle. A sample taken from the material on the driver's side of the Jeep's trunk tested positive for human blood. DNA analysis further showed a mixture of 2 contributors. The major component was consistent with Layla Duarte DeLuz. Gary's behavior after the murder was a further cause of suspicion and speculation. He tried half-heartedly to contact Layla on Christmas Day. Then, after learning of her death on the 29th, he did not appear sufficiently upset.
How did you find out that Mr. DeLuz passed?
Is that Miranda?
State police pulled me over.
Is that
Did Gary?
Katie? Oh. Katie Rose.
No.
He never told you that Mr. DeLuz was dead.
After I already knew about it.
But he did tell you and talk to you about it.
Of course, it's my brother, yes.
And he showed
Hey. She's getting a little sassy. Settle down, ma'am.
no emotion whatsoever.
No, he was confused.
Confused?
Yeah.
Not upset?
I'm not sure.
2 pieces of evidence blew apart.
Oh, what's her name? Ivan girlfriend. I was like, who the fuck is this? That's Ivan girlfriend, I believe.
Defense. The first was testimony by Miranda, who left him shortly after Layla's murder.
Ooh, 6 years. I guess it took a murder to leave, huh? She noticed that behavior change. Ding, 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 ding. I thought that was Ivan's girlfriend. That's Miranda. She looked like the chick with the thong out. Never mind.
Do you know if Mr. Gromquitz engaged in any other relationship?
Yes.
Oh.
And with whom?
A girl named Layla.
Searches on Miranda's cell phone returned a curious history, specifically looking for how to disconnect a cell phone from the network to avoid detection. Prosecutors suggested that Gary and not Miranda conducted these searches prior to the murder.
If I turn off location services, can my phone be tracked?
That wasn't me.
The proverbial nail in the coffin of Gary's defense was the testimony of April Bateman, the one-time friend who Gary claimed had told him about the alleged couple supporting his alibi. April testified that when she met Gary in custody, she brought up no such thing. He did, however, ask her to lie for him.
Uh-oh. Okay, they don't look alike. Sorry, my bad. Whoever that was just before. Miranda. Y'all don't look alike, my bad.
Asked for me to be a witness for him on December 20.
Exactly. We already knew that, honey. I'm glad you came up here and testified and told. Put his answer away. Because I'm like, now he trying to make up some people. Oh, yeah, I haven't said that he knew the people because they stalked. Oh, God, Jesus.
And did you know Mr. Gromkowitz on December 21st of 2022?
No, he offered me money.
April obviously refused the offer and testified for the prosecution.
Let's go.
Testimony to the dual jury was presented over 10 days. While Gary's defense pointed the finger at his co-defendant, Michael's defense deflected straight back. They argued that he was being made into the fall guy due to his violent criminal past, but that he did not have the intent to kill Layla.
You are to lose after Gary Gromkowitz was done with her. He's crying right now. Crocodile tears. You know what? He wasn't upset when he told his sister that she had died.
He goes off the grid for 3 hours. But he didn't tell Michael Lambert to do the same thing. His actions after the fact don't prove murder. They prove something else entirely. Fear, panic.
You know now that the evidence shows that Michael Lambert killed Layla Duarte-Luz, not Gary Gromkowitz. It was Lambert's phone that showed he was at Carbuncle Pond.
What there are this sort of trail of...
That'd be interesting if he told him to let him borrow his phone. No, because then remember, it was only Gary's phone that was at the lake. And then we saw, Michael. It was only Michael's phone that we saw at the lake. And then it was only Michael that we saw at the gas station. Remember when he had that white t-shirt? He had changed all his clothes. And then what was Gary? When he at the mall or something, they had split up. And then they had
Pops along the pier and some scuff marks, consistent with two people carrying a 5'6", 159-pound.
I say two people because, or maybe he left his phone. Maybe he had dropped his phone somewhere. Maybe, and he was still in the car. Did we see him in the car at the gas station though? I don't remember seeing Gary in the car at the gas station. Maybe he was in the car, we just couldn't see him. Go when never mind. Just go.
This woman down that dock and dumping her body into the frozen pond.
And she was still alive.
And leaving her to drown.
And she was still alive.
Closing arguments were completed on the morning of January 17th, 2025. By the next morning, both juries returned with their verdicts within minutes of each other. Guilty of first-degree murder, as well as conspiracy. At the sentencing hearing, the state argued for no mercy.
No hope for rehabilitation. The only thing that this court can do is punish what has gone on here. The only thing this court can do in addition to that is protect society from these two individuals.
Exactly.
Gary Gromkowitz pleaded his innocence and fired his attorney.
Mr. Gromkowitz was brought up today. He advised me that he believes there has been a breakdown in the attorney-client relationship, and he's asked that I move to withdraw so that he can represent himself at the sentencing hearing today and the motion for a new trial.
Ms. Larson has failed to be effective counsel every single way of this trial. She didn't even check my alibi. Nobody knows where I was that day. I'm innocent. It's the responsibility of the attorney to hire a private investigator to actually check their alibi. I love
She look like she don't believe shit he talking about. ain't nobody check. Don't nobody know where I was at.
Throughout the loose, I did not kill Layla throughout the loose. I will remain innocent till I die.
Boy, bye.
Layla's family flew to the United States to watch the court proceedings. Her sister told the court that Layla had been thrilled to be pregnant, that she had wanted a family,
Of course.
and she had wanted that with Gary Gromkowitz.
Bummer.
And that was the tragic case of Layla Duarte de Luz. Thank you for joining me, and I'd like to offer a welcome this week to our newest Sherlock Holmes members: Jas RN, Jesse Rose, Richard Rose, Stephanie Rodriguez, Yasmin Chukwu, Madonna 69ful, Wendy M, D Swiftthing, Micah Vensil, Christina James, and Monique Solis. It's great to have you in the lounge. I'm Kevin. This is Just Thought Lounge, and I'll see you in the next one.
Talking in the comments, they jot in a few lines, tune in and hit like
on YouTube. Don't worry, I am. Let us see.
This digital calendar lightening my mental load makes it worth every penny. I wasn't fully convinced the Skylight calendar would be able to do it.
Not trigger warning. Oh yeah, sex trafficking.
Candace Owens has been investigating the past of Erica Kirk and has uncovered strange connections to child trafficking.
Indeed.
Erica began the Romanian Angels Project with Colonel Otto Buscher, who was later accused of child trafficking out of a Romanian military base. It has also been uncovered that Erica had a series of tweets with an underage girl. These are very disturbing conversations.
She's so funny.
Why would Erica send a message to an underage girl saying she's going to touch her butt? It also turns out that she set up a photo shoot for her. Why would Erica Kirk set up a photo shoot for a minor? This raises questions about whether Erica Kirk should be the CEO of Turning Point. But there is something that Candace Owens has missed. You don't have to go all the way to Romania to find connections between Turning Point and child trafficking. You can look right in their home state of Arizona. Get ready, because this story gets pretty wild.
Oh, this sounds very young.
Let's go back to the day Charlie Kirk was murdered. I've talked previously about the IT guy, Terrell Farnsworth. He is the person who removed the SD cards with the footage of the murder. He filmed a bizarre selfie video. And when Candace Owens called him to ask questions, he lied to her.
To her face.
Why is Terrell Farnsworth lying if he has nothing to hide? But something else about this has been bothering me.
What?
Do you know how something will just nag at you? Something has been nagging at the back of my mind about this whole situation.
Which one?
Let me show you the video in the tunnel.
Don't start. Don't start. Don't start.
After the shooting. This is just after they carried Charlie Kirk's body through the tunnel.
Okay. Which video? Which video? Who? I don't think I've ever seen this video. Who video is it? Jeremy King. Look at Terrell Farnsworth ass up there on the curb. That's him making a video talking about he's dead. Do you see his ass up there? Huh? Ain't nobody else up there but him. That's him. That's him.
Let me rewind that.
You don't see Terrell Farnsworth ass up there? That's him.
This is where Terrell Farnsworth was standing. This is what bothers me. Why did he climb up here? Everyone around him is ducking their heads and running for their lives. And Terrell Farnsworth climbs up on a raised area that is completely exposed. Why does he do that?
To make his video.
If I was in the middle of an active shooting, I would not climb up onto a hilltop where I'm completely exposed. It's almost like he's looking down and monitoring what everyone is doing.
And recording.
It looks to me like someone who is managing a scenario. I think a lot of people have discounted Terrell's potential involvement in all of this because people think, oh, he's just the IT guy. We have to consider the possibility that maybe Terrell Farnsworth is one of the people running the operation. If you've been
running the operation, hold on.
My investigation,
Okay.
I've discussed several members of the Farnsworth family.
Indeed, we have.
We have Terrell Farnsworth.
Yes.
We also have
Dad.
Dwayne Farnsworth. He's been in business deals with Jay Kaufman and Tyler Boyer.
And Tyler.
We've also talked about David Farnsworth,
Yes.
who's an Arizona state senator.
Correct.
We now need to add another Farnsworth family member, Eddie Farnsworth. He is a very powerful person in Arizona. He served in both the Arizona House and Senate. He retired in 2021 after serving 2 decades in political office with only a brief break between 2009 and 2011. The Farnsworth family is big and confusing, and I'm not sure I have all of this correct, but this is my understanding.
Okay, go ahead.
David Farnsworth is the cousin of Eddie Farnsworth, who is the cousin of Dwayne Farnsworth, who is the father of Terrell Farnsworth.
Right.
Eddie Farnsworth is best known for the charter school scandal. He owned a charter school, and basically he continually voted to increase state funding for charter schools at least a dozen times, and the money would go to himself. And he made millions of dollars. I want to be careful because I don't want to make fun of charter schools.
Sure.
I believe charter schools are important. Arizona has done some amazing things for school choice. Parents in Arizona have lots of choices to send their children to public school, private school, charter school, or homeschool without serious financial hardship. Those are incredible reforms, and we should acknowledge that. However, if you are a legislator, you should not be voting on something that you are going to financially benefit from. You should recuse yourself from that vote. I don't know what Eddie Farnsworth was thinking, but it certainly seems very shady.
You should get life insurance because you never know. My dad has never been in better shape. Lost weight, exercising every day, and he had and passed away. But he did an incredible thing for my family. He had a life insurance policy. Ethos.com. In 10 minutes, you can be covered.
But this is actually not his biggest scandal. Eddie Farnsworth blocked a bill against child sex trafficking.
He did.
This was in 2013. It was House Bill 2569. At that time in Arizona, the laws against sex exploitation of minors between the ages of 15 and 17 was considered different than younger victims. So, if you were caught trafficking minors, as long as they were older than 15, your punishment was not as bad. HB 2569 was attempting to fix this loophole. It basically said that all sexual crimes against minors below the age of consent are treated the same. This was something that everyone agreed on. Democrats wanted this. Republicans wanted this. It was supported by prosecutors, the police, schools, anti-trafficking organizations. Everyone wanted this bill to pass.
Except
Eddie Farnsworth killed the bill. He killed the anti-child sex trafficking bill. And you have to understand how this all went down. Eddie Farnsworth was the head of the House Judiciary Committee. Before a bill can be voted on, it has to go through.
hold on, let me go get him. I hear him. Hold on. Maybe not. I thought he was up. I thought I heard him. Thought I heard that guy.
Be first. Normally, you would allow a committee vote. If there was some disagreement about the bill, you would allow debate. Usually, there's an opportunity for members of the public to stand up.
Stat check real quick, because we had 187,820 views dropped yesterday. And how many likes do we have? 33,000.
And provide comment to the committee. Eddie Farnsworth decided, I'm the head of this committee, I'm just going to kill the bill. I'm not going to allow debate, I'm not going to allow a vote, I am just killing the bill. We are not going to address child sex trafficking. This is unbelievable. Why would he do that? What ended up happening was that Cindy McCain, the wife of John McCain, wrote an opinion article in the local newspaper directly calling out Eddie Farnsworth. Keep in mind, this was only 5 years after John McCain ran for president, and his wife writes this. The recent unwillingness of Arizona House Judiciary Chairman Eddie Farnsworth to schedule a hearing for House Bill 2569 shines a direct and disturbing light on the problem of human trafficking in Arizona. By refusing to schedule a hearing, he effectively killed a bill that was a small step, but a step in the right direction of protecting our children from human trafficking. There was public outrage over this. What was even more frustrating is that Eddie Farnsworth would not give any explanation or reason for his decision. He would not respond to questions from the newspaper. Eventually, Eddie Farnsworth was shamed into doing the right thing. A year later, they wrote a different bill that was passed that closed the age loophole for child sex trafficking. I find this situation very disturbing. This is Terrell Farnsworth's family, and it makes me wonder if something more sinister is going on here. Keep all of this in mind because we're going to come back to it.
Okay.
The other thing that has been nagging at the back of my mind is that UPS store mailbox for 110 LLC, operated by Jake Hoffman, where Turning Point is sending millions of dollars. Something just does not seem right about this. If you remember, Turning Point sent me a cease and desist letter where they asked me to stop, asking whether the money sent to 110 LLC was to bribe Jake Hoffman. This request also seems to be very strange. Why are they calling this out specifically as something they don't want people to talk about? No one can talk about Jake Hoffman. Absolutely no questions can be asked about what Jake Hoffman is doing. It just seems very strange. To be fair to Turning Point, they say in their letter, Turning Point contracts with 110 LLC for legitimate services. The money you ask about is spent on marketing and advertising services. Any claim that it is a bribe is false. I don't know if you noticed this, but their response does not really address any of my questions. Why is Turning Point hiring an Arizona state senator as one of their largest contractors to do their marketing? They say it is for marketing, but what exactly is the money being spent on? They could have hired any other marketing company in the United States. Why are they choosing this guy? I've brought up that some of this money is coming from a 501c3, which cannot be used on political activity. So why are they using an Arizona state senator? We are talking about millions and millions of dollars. And after weeks of bringing up these accounting issues, Turning Point still has not answered these questions. By the way, before this video, I sent questions to Turning Point through their lawyer. As of the time of posting, I've not received responses to any of my questions. So I started looking further into Jake Hoffman. Just to give you an idea of the type of person he is, Jake Hoffman was recently pulled over for speeding, and I'm going to show you the body cam footage.
Let's go.
Hi, I'm Brett. And I'm Jonathan. This is Darla. And this is Buddy. We're the founders of the Farmer's Dog.
We've made body cam video shows a state trooper pull over State Senator Jake Hoffman driving a Tesla Cybertruck with the word freedom on the back.
Okay, let me just stop here. He drives a Cybertruck with freedom written on the back. Am I the only person who finds that a little obnoxious? I am all for being patriotic, but that seems kind of annoying.
Pulled over for speeding, picked up at 89, so at 65.
Senator Hoffman is cooperative. He does not tell the trooper he's a lawmaker or ask for immunity. But the trooper figures that out on his own, and once he does, he lets Hoffman go.
Who's on the state senator? What's up? Yeah, are you in session right now? I'm gonna get out of your hair. I'll be right back.
Legislative immunity is written into the state constitution. The goal is to keep the executive branch from abusing its power to arrest a political opponent.
So they just let him go. That is what we're dealing with here. He can just do whatever he wants, and he gets away with it. I don't know if you know about these Cybertrucks. They are built like a missile. If you get hit by one of these cars, you are not surviving. So Jake Hoffman is driving 89 miles per hour in a 65 mile per hour zone. That is 24 miles per hour over the speed limit. He could have killed somebody. He's wildly careening down the freeway, effectively in a missile, and he just gets off scot-free. Now, if any of us normal people were in that situation, they would have thrown the book at us. This is deeply unfair and sets the stage for what I'm going to show you about Jake Hoffman. He moved from California to Arizona in his early teens with his parents, Mike and Lisa. He graduated from Greenway High School in Phoenix. He went to ASU and earned a Bachelor of Science degree in Exercise and Wellness. In 2008, he graduates from ASU. From 2008 to 2013, he works in Florence, where he works as a fitness and wellness director for a retirement community. According to property records, he purchased a home in Gilbert in 2010. So at least for a portion of this period, he was commuting an hour to work every day to Florence, which he ended in 2013. From that point onward, Jake Hoffman would make money through various small marketing companies that he would start. From 2013 to 2015, he served on the school board in Gilbert. In 2015, he moved to Queen Creek. From 2017 to 2020, he served on the Queen Creek Town Council.
Hi, I'm Councilman Hoffman. Queen Creek isn't just committed to having great infrastructure. We're also committed to building the safest community in Arizona. That's why the Queen Creek Town Council introduced the start of the Queen Creek Police Department, including the hiring of Chief Bryce.
I want you to remember Police Chief Randy Bryce, because he's going to come back in a later interview. From 2021 to 2023, Jake Hoffman served in the Arizona State Legislature representing Queen Creek. From 2023 until now, he serves as an Arizona State Senator representing Queen Creek. Let me show you on the map where all these places.
Let me go get him. I hear him. What are you doing? finish.
Are.
Matter of fact, hold on. Let me go take this peanut butter bag. Take this knife and this graham crackers bag. Because I didn't use the bag. Slipped.
Here is Phoenix, the main city in Arizona. First he moved to Florence. This is about an hour outside of Phoenix. Florence has about 25,000 population. It is a really small town. Not only that, it is where several massive prisons are located. There is a state prison, a federal prison, and a private prison. In total, they house around 17,000 prisoners, making it one of the largest prison complexes in the nation. You heard that number correctly. Out of the 25,000 population in Florence, more than half of them are prisoners. So a lot of the people who live in Florence work at the prisons. I think it is interesting that after Jake Hoffman graduates from ASU, this is where he works for 5 years. Now, I don't know if Jake made friends with people at the prisons. We don't know that much about this period of his life. It's just interesting that he goes from being a fitness instructor next to a massive prison and suddenly becomes a massively successful millionaire. Now, I do not want to disparage people who live in Florence. I've met some great people who live in Florence, and there is some really interesting history about the town. I just think it's an interesting coincidence that is where Jake Hoffman gets his start. Then he moves to Gilbert. This is a suburb of Phoenix. Immediately upon relocating to Gilbert, he files to run in the Arizona State House of Representatives. At the time, Gilbert was represented by 3 people, the state senator, Andy Biggs, and 2 House representatives, Warren Peterson and Eddie Farnsworth. This is where they all met in 2012, and you will see that moving forward, these 4 people are thick as thieves. We don't know exactly what conversations happened, but we do know the result. Jake Hoffman dropped out of the race and immediately ran for the school board in Gilbert. That meant that Warren Peterson and Eddie Farnsworth could run unopposed. At the same time, Andy Biggs, Warren Peterson, and Eddie Farnsworth all endorsed Jake Hoffman, who narrowly won the seat on the school board. We see this kind of thing happen in politics all the time. They probably told Jake Hoffman to wait out this race. It was not his time yet, and in exchange, they will help him along his career. And as we follow their careers over the next decade, it becomes a game of musical chairs where they will fill in for the other person as people move up the political ladder. In 2017, Andy Biggs takes the federal position as Arizona representative. Warren Peterson takes his position in the Arizona Senate. Then in 2019, Eddie Farnsworth takes Warren Peterson's old position in the Arizona Senate. Then in 2021, Jake Hoffman takes Warren Peterson's position as Arizona representative. Everyone keeps changing seats, but the same people stay in power. It is also important to understand that this is the origin story of Turning Point. Tyler Boyer graduated from high school in the mid-2000s, and in high school he was close friends with Terrell Farnsworth. We can already see at this time that Terrell's powerful family member, Eddie Farnsworth, was already calling the shots with Jake Hoffman's career in politics.
They don't want you to know how toxic this is. If you're buying produce from the grocery store, you need to see this. So first step is add clean water about 3/4 of the way up. Next, throw some salt in. Doesn't have to.
In 2015, Jake Hoffman moves to Queen Creek with just enough time to meet the 1-year residency requirement to run for town council in 2016. This is also a suburb of Phoenix, but it is on the outskirts of the city. Once again, we see that Jake Hoffman's political career was helped by Warren Peterson. Warren Peterson was a wealthy land developer. He operated a company called VIP Homes, and he was developing land in Queen Creek. And he was currently in a lawsuit with Queen Creek and was trying to get the town council to vote on a settlement agreement. He also just happened to sell Jake Hoffman his house. What a coincidence. It turns out that a watchdog group caught on to this and made a commercial about it.
Could Queen Creek taxpayers be on the hook for millions of dollars in a lawsuit brought against the town by VIP Homes? Queen Creek could lose the money in court, or the lawsuit could be settled out of court. In that case, the Queen Creek Town Council would approve a settlement payment to VIP Homes. So with that background, let's zoom in on something that we feel you should be aware of. There's a potential conflict of interest for Jake Hoffman, a current candidate for Queen Creek Town Council. Here's what happened as we understand it. A year ago, Mr. Hoffman lived in Gilbert where he grew up and he was serving on the Higley School Board. But suddenly he resigned from the board early and moved to Queen Creek and announced his intentions to run for Queen Creek's town council. As strange as it is to move to a new town and immediately run for the town council, there's something else you should know. VIP Homes seems to have gone out of their way to help Hoffman move and help him qualify for the ballot. When, as records show, Hoffman listed his Gilbert home, it didn't sell. So he lowered the price, and then he had to lower it again. But then, VIP Homes bought their house from them for close to the original asking price at $268,000. 2 months later, Warren Peterson, son of VIP President Evelyn Peterson, sold the house for VIP at just $243,000. That's a $25,000 loss on that particular transaction. Assuming Hoffman could only have obtained that same sale price, it seems Hoffman received a $25,000 benefit from VIP Homes. Now, to run for town council, Hoffman needed to occupy a residence in Queen Creek for 1 year before the election. Again, VIP Homes helped by getting him into his house before the August deadline, even though his purchase of a VIP home in Queen Creek didn't finally close until September 11th, 2015. So, has anything illegal been done here? So far, no. But let's summarize. A company that is suing the town for millions may have given significant financial and other assistance to a person who, if elected, would be in a position to vote on a possible settlement of that lawsuit. That could be a big conflict of interest. The Public Integrity Alliance feels the public should know about this, and we feel Mr. Hoffman should declare a conflict of interest and promise not to vote on issues relating to VIP Homes if he's elected.
Okay. Anyone who has ever bought a home, is this normal?
No.
Is it normal to purchase a home and the seller to just give you $25,000 as part of the transaction? Is it normal to allow someone to move into the home before the deal closes? Here is the deed. The deed is dated for September, but they let Jake Hoffman move into the home in August to meet the deadline for the election. Is that normal? To be clear, the lawsuit was eventually thrown out of court and Jake Hoffman never voted on it anyway, so it never really became an issue. But it seems to me like something suspicious is going on. It was during this period that Turning Point moved to Phoenix, Arizona in 2017 to 2018. This was the same period when Jake Hoffman was on the Queen Creek Town Council. Tyler Boyer already had all these connections with powerful politicians in Arizona. This was also the same time Andrew Colvett started with Turning Point. This was also the same time that Erica Kirk met Charlie Kirk. This was also the same time that Jake Hoffman started working with Turning Point, doing their marketing. Something else that was happening around the same time was a scandal by Arizona State legislator David Stringer. He served in the House from January 2017 to March 2019 when he resigned in scandal. After he was elected, it was revealed by investigative journalists that he was arrested in 1983 for paying 2 boys under the age of 15 for sex, plus charges for child porn. He pled guilty to the charges and received a plea deal where he never went to prison. Instead, he received 5 years probation. Nobody knew about this because his criminal record had been expunged in 1990. I hate to explain the details here, but I think they are important. Here's a police report with the sex offenses. Here are the police notes describing how he asks the boys for sex. Here are the police notes where he pays the boys $10 apiece. One boy said he continued to see him at least 10 additional times, and each time David Stringer asked him to perform acts of fellatio and sodomy. When all this information came out, everyone was rightfully upset that David Stringer was an Arizona legislator. How is this happening in Arizona? Only a few years earlier, we had Eddie Farnsworth looking out for child sex traffickers by killing a bill. And now we have David Stringer, who paid for sex with little boys. Now, he resigned, but he has remained active in political circles.
Let me just say, I think you're right. I've been politically involved here in Yavapai County, and we are one of the most conservative counties in the state, I would say.
He has a social media platform where he talks about Arizona
You
politics.
didn't have to register as an offender?
I bring all of this up because 6 months ago, Warren Peterson was publicizing his next political race for Arizona Attorney General, and he appeared on a talk show on David Stringer's platform. Now, he was interviewed by someone else, but it was still the show published by David Stringer. So Warren Peterson is still fine associating with this guy. It's like this whole gang of people is okay with child sex traffickers. So Jake Hoffman is now representing Queen Creek. He was on the town council from 2017 to 2020. He was a state legislator from 2021 to 2023. He was a state senator from 2023 until now. Almost a decade, he's been representing Queen Creek. Now, you're going to be surprised to find out that Queen Creek has a problem with child sex trafficking. Queen Creek has two boarding schools side by side. Canyon State Academy is for boys, and Desert Lily Academy is for girls. A lot of these kids are juvenile delinquents. A kid will end up in the court system, and a judge will send them to live at Canyon State Academy instead of a full juvenile correction facility. It is also for kids in the foster care system who do not have anywhere to live. These are at-risk youth. Actually, a lot of these kids are sent there from California because it is easier to run these types of facilities in Arizona compared to California.
There have been more than 2,000 calls for service at Canyon State Academy and Desert Lily Academy. Both residential schools are located right next to each other and are owned by the Nevada company Rite of Passage, under contract with DCS. Canyon State is for juvenile boys, while Desert Lily is for girls. Back in 2022, we covered the high number of calls for service and concerns at CSA.
We've learned that the Queen Creek Police Department has responded to CSA at a rate of nearly once a day.
By 2024, those calls spiked with 430 at CSA and 306 at DLA. So I sat down with Queen Creek Police Chief Randy Bryce to ask a simple question. Is that too much?
One thing to keep in mind, it's certainly a concentrated number of calls for service, but it's a broad spectrum of calls.
Viral Paleo Valley beef sticks are on sale right now for 30 beef sticks for $36. These are the most delicious beef.
But what has consistently stood out are missing persons calls, especially when kids run away. From January 2024 through December 2025, there were 208 reports for missing boys at Canyon State. During that same time span, 119 calls of missing girls were reported to Queen Creek Police. Between both campuses, that's one child going missing every 2 days.
I want you to understand the extent of the problem. Every other day, a child is going missing from these schools in Queen Creek.
Chief Bryce says some of these runaway cases have evolved into investigations involving trafficking and exploitation. One of these examples comes from QCPD's first year as an agency.
I believe this was in 2022. We found the individual right before the trafficker was going to move them to a different state.
The chief is talking about 31-year-old Wendell White. Court records reveal he organized the scheme to exploit and traffic 3 girls in 2022. They were 14, 16, and 17 at the time and were living at Desert Lily Academy. But before the 14-year-old was placed at DLA, White was her pimp and sex trafficked her to a Phoenix area on 27th Avenue and Indian School Road known as The Blade, a hotbed for prostitution.
A lot of these kids that come into that venue have already been trafficked, or they've had some sort of touch point with trafficking in some form or fashion, so they're high risk.
That girl tried running away from Desert Lily and staff stopped her, but she connected the other 2 minors with White. Those girls ran from Desert Lily to work The Blade for White, provided with drugs and alcohol. Prosecutors say White had sex with all 3 victims. In July 2025, Wendell White was sentenced to 20 years in prison after pleading guilty to child sex trafficking and 2 counts of attempt to commit child sex trafficking. Last year alone, QCPD trafficking detectives located 4 girls who ran away from Desert Lily, believed to be trafficking victims. One of them found in a motel room with 3 men.
If we don't find them within that first few hours, our concern is that they'll be trafficked, and we have to put a lot of resources into solving those quickly.
This is a massive problem. These are facilities full of at-risk kids, and they are basically being used as a smorgasbord where people can walk in and pluck out children they can traffic. They're being brought to downtown Phoenix where they're being sold for sex. You would think that Jake Hoffman would be trying to do something about this. As a legislator, he has oversight over the Arizona Department of Child Safety, which funds these schools. This is his district. But when I look at what he's actually been doing for the last decade, it doesn't look like he cares about stopping child trafficking in his district. And do not think that Jake Hoffman does not know about these academies, because here is a photo of Jake Hoffman at a groundbreaking ceremony for a construction project at Canyon State Academy. This construction project is to create a new building where the public could come in and interact with the students, which in hindsight sounds really creepy. This is where it gets weird, because we have all heard the Republican talking points that the evil Democrat elites are involved in these underground child trafficking networks. With the release of more of the Jeffrey Epstein files, that turns out to be mostly true. But here's the problem. If child trafficking rumors are what Jake Hoffman is running on, why isn't he doing anything about it once he gets into office? When you start looking into what Jake Hoffman is doing, you can understand why nothing changes. He wrote an article where he said this: Democrats are committed to executing a radical open borders agenda that will leave our nation vulnerable to a continued flood of illegal deadly drugs and human and child trafficking. From his perspective, child trafficking is connected to the border issue. He is saying that if you close the border, you stop child trafficking. Now, it is true that there is trafficking at the border, But this completely ignores the child trafficking that is going on in Jake Hoffman's own backyard. He's not addressing that problem at all. It's just like his predecessor, Eddie Farnsworth, who looked the other way when it came to child trafficking. He is doing the same thing. In fact, by shutting down child trafficking at the border, it eliminates the competition and makes homegrown child trafficking even more lucrative. It says almost the exact same quote on the Turning Point website. Human trafficking is rising nationwide. Securing our borders to protect Americans from illegal activity, drugs, and other dangers must be a priority for our representatives. They connect child trafficking to the border, completely ignoring what is happening in places like Canyon State Academy. It's like they're trying to misdirect everyone's attention to the border. So even though Turning Point Republicans have been screaming about child trafficking and raising a lot of money off of child trafficking, they're not actually doing anything to stop it. Jake Hoffman has sponsored a lot of pieces of legislation. He wrote bills about election reform, ending DEI, and the border. But not a single piece of legislation that would have meaningfully reduced trafficking at Canyon State Academy. To be fair to Jake Hoffman, he did co-sponsor SCR 1021, which increased penalties for child sex trafficking. SCR 1021 specified mandatory life sentencing for child sex trafficking, with no chance of parole or plea deals. That sounds good, but let me tell you the problem with this legislation. If the police do not arrest these people, it has absolutely no effect. It doesn't address any of the problems, like taking care of the victims or providing extra police support. This is the whole law. It's just about the penalty. Remember, Jake Hoffman is the guy who hired the police chief. Jake Hoffman is the guy who does not receive speeding tickets. This is not a meaningful attempt to fix the issues. It's window dressing. It's just a Band-Aid that makes the politicians look good, but doesn't actually do anything. The proof of this is this new life imprisonment penalty went into effect in 2024. But according to the Maricopa County Attorney's Office, child sex trafficking cases are up 60% over the last few years. It doesn't sound like it is working. The situation gets even more strange when you start looking into these two schools. These schools are being run by a management company called Rite of Passage. It is operated out of a small town called Minden, Nevada, next to Lake Tahoe. If you've never heard of Minden, Nevada, it is because it only has a population of 3,000 people. So why is this small business in Minden, Nevada, operating a school in Arizona for juvenile delinquents? They operate a number of these academies in California and Arizona. They used to operate a maximum security juvenile correction facility in Nevada near Las Vegas, but that was closed in 2015 in a scandal. The CFO of Rite of Passage is Carolyn Boyer. I don't think this is any relation to Tyler Boyer. The name is spelled differently. She has been the CFO since 2003. That is the first fiscal year that she signed their 990 form. So she's been the CFO at the small juvenile detention company for 24 years. That's pretty unusual. It's common to see CFOs make career changes throughout their career, unless there's some reason that makes it lucrative for them to stay. This also reminds me of something else. In my previous video, I mentioned that Tyler Boyer had this strange home purchase. He bought a $1.95 million mansion in 2021, right around the same time period that Jake Hoffman created 110 LLC in Delaware. This is right before Kari Lake gave $2.3 million to 110 LLC. Well, it turns out that Jake Hoffman also purchased a $1 million mansion around the same time period. Just to recap, Jake Hoffman's suspicious home purchase in 2015 from VIP Homes was a house in Queen Creek worth $326,000. Then December 2019, Jake Hoffman buys a mansion worth $1.14 million. This was roughly 1 year before forming 110 LLC in Delaware. How does this guy go from being a fitness instructor next to a prison to living in a $1 million mansion? And it just happens to be at the same time that Tyler Boyer is buying his magnificent mansion. This looks to me to be very suspicious. Now,
it's definitely given suspicious for sure.
Being empathic is an incredible gift. There's the normal amount of empathy, and then a little bit above average, more and more above average.
Now, I might have been able to overlook all of this information, except for what Jake Hoffman has been doing recently. The current governor of Arizona is a Democrat named Katie Hobbs, who was announced as the winner of the election against Kari Lake. When a new governor comes into office, they appoint the heads of all the state agencies, which have to be confirmed by the state Senate. Jake Hoffman was the chair of the Senate committee to confirm these appointments, and he turned this into a major battle. This was not unexpected, but the way he went about it is very strange. The agency that he targeted first was the Department of Child Safety. This is the department that sends funds to Canyon State Academy and Desert Lily Academy. Out of all the state agencies, why did he target this one first? Katie Hobbs appointed a black man named Matthew Stewart to lead the agency. Jake Hoffman opposed this because he claimed Matthew Stewart was only being hired for DEI. Jake Hoffman claimed that Matthew Stewart was not qualified and was only being hired because he was black. But I looked into Matthew Stewart's background, and that's not true. Matthew Stewart had more than a decade of experience working for the Department of Child Safety, including being a supervisor and a case manager. He had hands-on experience dealing with child cases. This is not someone with no qualifications. In fact, in my opinion, this looks like someone who could have brought in a fresh perspective and real reforms to the agency. But Jake Hoffman did not want that for some reason. Jake Hoffman blocked the confirmation, forcing the governor to fire Matthew Stewart and get somebody else. This went on for years. The governor took office in January 2023. Jake Hoffman did not agree to a confirmation until Catherine Patak was named the new director in January 2025. That is 2 years that the Department of Child Safety was in chaos without a leader. So when we go back to that news story about a child going missing every other day from these academies, Jake Hoffman is partly responsible for that because of the chaos he created at the Department of Child Safety. And listen to this. The person Jake Hoffman finally agreed to confirm was Catherine Patak. She was the general counsel at the Department of Child Safety. And in the confirmation hearing, Jake Hoffman was reported as giving his reason for selecting Catherine Patak because she would deliver consistent and reliable operations. He liked her because she would continue the status quo. He did not want the guy who actually had the experience dealing with the children and instead selected the lawyer who wouldn't change anything. This is getting really creepy and sinister. Jake Hoffman has these academies where a student is going missing every other day, and the type of management he wants to continue is the status quo. He wants consistent and reliable operations. Now, to be clear, I do not have any evidence that Jake Hoffman is personally involved in trafficking these children. But this is a legitimate criticism. Jake Hoffman has to explain his legislative record. Why does he continue to look the other way on the issue of child sex trafficking? Just like his buddy, Eddie Farnsworth, who blocked the child sex trafficking bill. Just like his buddy, Warren Peterson, who is associating with David Stringer, who paid for sex with boys. Just like Erica Kirk with her shady background. Jake Hoffman has been in leadership positions in Queen Creek for a decade. Why has he not addressed the child sex trafficking going on in his own district? He has to answer for this. And that brings me to the other member of this gang of people. The other person who was there at the beginning when Jake Hoffman made the deal to drop out of the race in 2012 was U.S. Representative Andy Biggs. He recently announced that he's running for governor of Arizona in 2026. Do you understand what is happening here? This same gang of people is going to use Turning Point money to try to take control of Arizona. I wonder what's going to happen to the children at Canyon State Academy. I hope the people who are donating money to Turning Point realize that these are the people you are sending money to. I've shown you the facts. You can go look them up for yourself. I've shown you a number of situations with Jake Hoffman that seem pretty shady. So I think I am absolutely justified in raising questions of financial mismanagement and potential fraud at Turning Point. Why are they sending millions of dollars to this UPS store mailbox for Jake Hoffman? A lot of Republicans are upset that I'm making these videos exposing Turning Point. But if you are a Republican, you really need to ask yourself one simple question. Do you really want control of the Republican Party to be in the hands of Tyler Boyer, Jake Hoffman, and their UPS store mailbox? Because that is what they're trying to do. I don't think that's the Republican Party that you want. Now I want to hear from you. Do you think that more should be done to help the children in Arizona? Let me know in the comments down below. And if you like this video, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on future videos. If you want to support independent journalism like this channel, consider signing up for a membership on my website, wolvesandfinance.com. For $6 a month, your support helps me to keep making these videos. Thank you to everyone who has signed up. I'm Zach from Wolves and Finance. Thank you for watching.
That's crazy. I ain't gonna be able to get the Candace. She talking about all the King's Highness. I don't know if I'm gonna get her. Anyway, let me get on off out of here. I'll be back tomorrow. But in the meantime, okay, love you.